Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here, your commentator, alongside me, TK, who is going to be rounding off the season with me.
Down the inside of turn number 6.
Possible season.
This is for the win between these two.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He needs to get it done now.
Blakey will dive to the inside.
We're robust, we've got our elbows out.
Ronard takes the lead.
Because here comes Alfie Butcher.
Can't really complain with that one.
It's not going to be easy. The pressure is on, of course.
Jarno Watmere is your champion.
Morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. And welcome back to PSGL for what is our second round of social races that are streamed here. And today we head to the Red Bull Ring as we get underway on the F1 20 pack. A new beginning in Formula 1 and what in PSGL as well. My name is Max Ring, and joining me tonight in the commentary box is Logan. How are you, Logan, on this Thursday evening?
I am buzzing because I don't have to watch the football. I have to watch this instead. There's a certain football tournament going on in North America tonight, Mexico, but I'd rather do this.
World Cup does start today, so we may see some smaller grids, some drivers potentially appearing because of that. We have 19 so far this evening. Qualifying is now just getting underway, so let's head track side as we do have Hamza, the first driver out on the road, and of course the V carb as he makes his way now down into Oshgold of turn 4. Plenty of straight line mode activation places on this circuit down the main straight between, of course, turns 1 and 3, 3 and 4, and also a small burst between turns 8 and 9. And battery here, Logan, is going to be a real big issue in qualifying and the race. Not many places to save it. Very much going to be all about lifting and coasting, you would imagine, both for these next two sessions.
Yes, I'd imagine so, because of course the new rules coming into play, it's changed the game, and even the fastest, especially the fastest tracks in the game, are going to be affected here as we see him come out of the final corner and start his lap. He's going on his run to the Nicky Lauda curve, which is named after the legendary Nicky Lauda, of course. The prices are guessing right. He is going up the hill past the motorcycle section, which is used, and we've already lost a driver from the session. Hopefully he can rejoin. Up into turn 3, which saw a big incident last year in the real world. Just mentioning, as you can see the bottom right there, the lines in magenta indicate that it's a straight mode zone. That's the wings in the back there can open up and give you a bit of burst of energy. It used to be the DRS, of course, but now it is going to be straight mode, and this is for all drivers. You only get the boost mode when you are within 1 second of the car behind, so it's kind of like DRS, but it's just a different method of applying the boost.
Certainly is indeed. As we're about to see Hamza come along and finish his first flying lap. The benchmark of the session, you can see a big lift through the final corner to give us much battery heading down that main straight. Across the line, a 1 minute 4.1 benchmark for the other drivers to beat. Have Finn Hertz just starting a lap. Ivan Iskrig finished his lap. He's gone around about 2 tenths quicker on Hamza, a 1 minute 4.0. Johan Mater, a 1 minute 4.9. Potentially some mistakes on that lap as Gondos makes his way up into second place in the Mercedes, closely followed by Pascal Hill in the Cadillac. Of course, the new team entering Formula 1. So in the main season, we'll see 22 cars. Jensen Rowson is our first driver to break that 1 minute 3 barrier. 1 minute 3.9 for the Red Bull man. It's time to start him to come in thick and fast. Quintino sits at 31.6. That was just a build lap from here from top to Tom. This is going to be another build lap from the Alpine. Zozo goes into 11th. What about Finn in the Aston Martin as he's coming up to the final couple of corners. Of course, 11 drivers, no, make that 10 drivers have set competitive lap times so far. So for Finn, where is this going to place the Aston Martin? Straight line mode activated, up to the line. What's it going to be? 7th fastest, so 1 minute 4.2. It's a short circuit, but we are seeing some rather big gaps than what we're used to around this track here, Logan. Of course, it's close between the likes of Balzaz and Istrig, but everybody around about, especially from Kurtz back to Federico, a 2/10 margin. That's quite a big gap here at the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, but I imagine as time goes on, we've already only got through 5 minutes of the session. I'm sure the gaps will come down soon enough, and I'm sure the top time will come down as well. You may notice, if you compare it to the previous cars, it's about a second slower at some tracks, probably less than that here, being it is one of the shortest tracks of the calendar. Quintino has went second in the Haas, the Toyota Gazoo Racing backed Haas, that is. Look how striking that livery is. So only half a tenth down from Jensen's top time as a moment. Evan Escreed there just grazing the 104 barrier, 4 thousandths over said threshold. And sure that's going to go down anytime soon. We're already 5 minutes through the session, and that's pretty much almost everyone completing their first run.
Certainly is, as Patton is about to finish his first lap. So what's the Gaudi driver going to do? He comes across the line. A 1 minute 4.124 puts it 5th fastest, closely followed by Cloud behind. Goes into 7th place. Ridiculous close so far between the likes of Patton all the way down to Hamza. Less than a tenth of a second separating those 5 drivers. Still got the likes of Well and Supply Wraps to set their lap time. Supply Wraps are now making his way down into Oshgold. Noel making his way into the end of the middle sector as he makes his way through turn 6 in the Aston Martin. Ryan Grob has retired from the session in the pit lane, but he'll start no higher than 14th for the 1 minute 4.439. So well, he now makes his way through the final couple of corners. Some different approaches to that final corner. It runs wide and invalidates, but some drivers there, Logan, are lifting and then going flat out on the exit to build that battery. So drivers like Noel were pushing all the way through that corner, not worrying about the battery at all.
Yeah, we're going to see different strategies employed by this new regulations, of course, as you have seen. The battery doesn't go away too long. It is going to run away. It is going to drain away. It goes nowhere. So you have to be very careful of that now. As we see Patton on a lap right now in the new Audi car. Once the Sauber now making his way up to the 3rd turn. Got to be careful when you apply the brakes. Got to be even more careful when you use the battery with that. As you now use the battery down the stretch. And into the next corner, of course, I believe this is Schlossgold.
Yes, his friend Patton now makes his way through to turn 5. Of course, he seems to have fueled himself up for a couple of runs. He's coming back in pit lane just yet. To split his down by 900 a second, and a big chunk of understeer there through turn 7. And he's invalidated the lap. Yes, that is run over. Those tyres are certainly not going to be at their best at this stage of the session. Supply Raptor put himself up into 10th place, 1 minute 4.2 from the Cadillac driver. That's a respectable lap time to put that top 10. Iskreek has just started his next attempt, but he's already aborted this one, 1.9 seconds down, potentially doing 2 outlaps. And that's a thing we do see quite often, even on the last regulation here, Logan, was those 2 outlaps around Austria to really lower that fuel load, to try gain as much time as possible and give you enough of an opportunity to build some heat into those tyres.
Yeah, pretty easy to do, being at one of the shortest tracks on the calendar. If you do mess up your lap, or you think that 1 lap's not going to be enough, you might as well do an extra lap to get those tyres warmed up more, get that battery revving ready to go. And I'm sure we might see a lot more of that here, and when you do have this in the main season, that'll be 43, I think. I mean, it is one of our favourite tracks in this game. Fast, flowy, and always full of action. and just such a picturesque setting as well. It's always been so much fun to watch since it returned to the calendar in 2014, backed by Red Bull, of course. Ivan Skrig starting his lap, trying to cut the 004 mark up the hill right now.
That certainly is indeed, as he now makes his way through the first sector split. 800th down on his previous best, and he's got a little bit of rear locking through turn 3, but that might have actually helped him slightly with the rotation. A little bit of traffic to deal with there, with an Alpine, I believe, just getting out of the way on that left-hand side, as we now bring it down the gears into down to third gear, bring it all the way to the left-hand side before switching straight back over to the right, hugging a nice line through 5, all over the curb on the entry to 6, and roll the car through a painfully long corner, these next 2 and 7, before we make it through into turn 8. Straight line mode now activated all the way into 9. Of course, you can be coming in here at very high speeds. The front of the car just wanting to wash out on you as you then make your way through 10. Runs wide. Is there an improvement? Was not up in the first 2 sectors. Through the final sector, did find time, but it was not enough to beat his previous best at all. Jensen Rosen now making his way through the final corner. Has the Red Bull driver got enough to strengthen his grasp on pole position? No, he doesn't find any time either. It seems like this track is de-evolving. It is going backwards in terms of pace. But Pascal Gill is up by just over a half a tenth in the first sector. So the Cadillac driver might be able to see himself up into that top 5.
I think the last time a track de-evolved was probably Barcelona in 2007 when they had that awful chicane.
Yeah, certainly could have been. It's for Pascal Gill makes his way through turn 7 and picks up an invalidation. Was up by nearly 0.2 of a second. What would it have been in the end? A 1:03.974 would have been enough for the second row of the grid, just behind Skrig. Down ever so slightly on his best. Is Quintino on a lap? No, he's just behind the Ferrari drivers and has aborted his attempt. So for Balzaz, what we're going to see through the middle sector split, he lost a bit more time. It just seems like nobody is finding any time at all, except from a select few around this track. For now, Federico in the other Ferrari hasn't found any time either. He's aborted in the first sector. So for Balzaz, what's it going to be? As he makes his run to the line, it's not an improvement once again. Patton was up in the first. He's aborted in the middle. What about Gondos? He's just setting up for another attempt. A lot of these drivers, though, here, Logan, making mistakes, or they're just not being able to find the grip that they once were on those opening runs.
Or just might be getting very cold in Austria. That could be the reason why. But I'd imagine, it's getting pretty difficult. A lot of drivers on their second lap with these softs. It probably indicates they have done a lap. And, of course, they're in and out laps. But Jensen is actually going on his right now. As we mentioned before, some are doing 2 runs on this tyre. Jensen probably one of them. He is still not improving, though. It's quite unusual to see that. Usually you'd see it evolve, but it doesn't seem like that's happening today. So
certainly is not, as actually Noel and Supply Raptor have made their way up through the order. Noel up in now into second fastest. Quintino is pushing on to his own lap as he now makes his way through the final sector. What's it going to be for the Haas driver as he makes his way to the line? It's quickest. It's provisional pole for Gabriel Quintino by a 10th of a second over Jensen Rosen, who at the moment has invalidated his next attempt, so he won't be going again. Cloud up into third as well, as there's a Red Bull 2-3 at the moment. It is super close at the front of this field as Finn Hertz now makes his way to 5th fastest, just displacing Supply Raptor down into 6th. Is Lorenz Patton pushing onto a lap? Seems like he's just completed an attempt in the Audi, so he won't be going any faster than 8th place currently. And Quintino is actually disconnected from the session.
Oh,
so
no.
If he can't get another run in, that final lap there, he might have just got in. Logan might have just been perfect timing, and his Wi-Fi disconnecting just at the nick of time.
Thank goodness it didn't disconnect earlier. That would have been a disaster. But yes, so we have a new leader at the top. Jensen finally dethroned. And that'll be a great boost to the Gabriel's hopes of taking spoils tonight. Of course, no points, obviously, being this social race, so normally you get 1 point for pole position in PSGL, that's the rules, instead of the point for fastest lap, because it probably means a lot more getting that point in pole position in qualifying. The race is for racing, not setting the fastest lap, and it's usually getting to the top 10 anyways. If you had the fastest lap, you wouldn't get it. So, alright, he's back in the session, that's good. Only one driver on track, that is Spiga in the Ferrari, but he's just back in there, so I stand corrected until I stand corrected again when the Audi driver of Dal McTier and Williams' Evan Eskrig are making their way out right now, and actually Eskrig is starting his lap immediately.
Does seem so, as he just did a battery down that straight using all the circuit through turn 1 as he gets a lovely tow off the cars ahead in the traffic. And is he just going to be able to avoid them? Yes, he is. Through the first sector split, he's down by 6 thousandths of a second. Seems to have Supply Raptor just in front of him. The Cadillac will need to keep out the way, but no, doesn't get out the way. And his screen goes straight into the back of him. Unfortunate to see there. I think just a lapse of just judgment there from Supply Raptor. And for Ivan Iskrig, that's going to be his qualifying session over. He could have reacted himself, but just thought the Cadillac was going to get offline like he should have done. And unfortunately for Iskrig, it's going to be the fastest of 7th so far. And that is going to be as high as he starts. McTier is up by half a tenth in the first sector. So the Audi driver could be one to watch. But if he wants to try and fight his way into the top 10, he needs to find at least 0.2 of a second.
I don't know how Supply Raptor didn't see Ivan there. He's been sticking to the very left of the circuit. Thank goodness this is just a social race and not an actual competition. That would have been a hefty penalty without a doubt as he starts his lap. I don't think Ivan's going to have time to get another run in, which is pretty unfortunate. I mean, there's nothing you do there. You've got to take the line. I mean, there's nothing else you can do. It's either go big or go home, as speaking of that, Jensen Rowson. And Gabriel's left the session again! Oh, he won't be able to get another lap time in by the time he rejoins, because it takes a while to get out of the pits. So Jensen setting his lap and needs to improve by at least a 10th and a thousandths. Coming through, ignore the yellow flag, that's usually slow cars. I don't know how they've not fixed that. Doesn't affect the session anyway, so you won't complain too much.
Now for Jensen Rowson, who was up by half a tenth in that first sector, will need to find at least another half a tenth through the next two, and he's now up by a tenth and a second. So this might be enough to displace Quintino, who have no opportunity for a response, unfortunately. But there are still drivers behind Jensen Rowson who are still pushing onto their own laps. So through the final corner for the Red Bull, does he keep it valid? He does. Did he lose any time in the final part of the lap? Across the line, he did, and he misses out by 6 thousandths of a second. It is by the barest of margins that he does not snatch provisional pole away. No, it's not improving. Finn Hertz is up by a 100th in the first sector. The Aston Martin driver might be able to do something here and maybe put himself onto the second row of the grid. A bit of understeer though through turn 6, and he's still up on his previous best by 0.03 of a second. Just about keeps it valid through turn 8. There's a lot of traffic in that final sector as well, but luckily Finn is going to be able to get through it as he now makes his way through the final corner. The Aston Martin driver, can he find a way to the second row of the grid? There's someone crashed across the line, and no, lost time in that final sector. The understeer was just too much. Is Cloud improving? He's up by a 10th of a second in the middle. He might, in the first, and he might now try and snatch things away from Quintino, who's not even here to end off the session. We might still see the Haas driver reign supreme here in the Red Bull ring. But are the Red Bull drivers of Rowson and Cloud going to have any response on their home turf? It's all up to Cloud now, and here he comes through the final corner. Has he done enough to snatch it away and give Red Bull that pole? Yep. He has! He's taken it away from Gabriel Quintino, and the Red Bull, who was looking least threatening for pole position, has snuck up behind the Haas driver and delivered that finishing blow here in qualifying.
What an ending for Cloud there. He gets into pole position for the social race just as Gabriel Contino leaves the session again. I don't know what has happened to him. Maybe he could have set a much faster lap if he was still in the session, but that's going to do it. Gersten's going to come out of the pits, and that will be the end of this session. Yep, there we go. So, pretty exciting race to come, I think. Hopefully, Gabriel gets into the session time, or just like Monaco, second place won't start the race properly.
Maybe he might not have been. Oh, he's back again. Hopefully, this is a good sign.
Will he stay in? That's the thing.
That is the big question. So it's Cloud who takes a pole position from Gabriel Quintino and Jensen Ralston. 800 separate the top three. Then it's Balsaz, Noel, Lorenz, Patton, Finn Hertz, Flyraptor, Iskrig, Pascal Gill, Gondos, Hamza, Federico Speaker, Zozo, McTeer, Top Tom, David, Johan, and Ryan Grob, who I actually have now just found out in the Discord. It wasn't a retirement in the pit lane on purpose. He crashed in the pit entry. Just had a little bit too much understeer and went straight on into the wall. So a bit of an embarrassing moment there for Ryan Grob, and that means he starts from the back of the grid. Race about to come up in a moment's time, and Quintino's left again.
I think we might have to. There needs to be a rule, I think. If you disconnect from the session too many times, you can't join back, because it will just cause problems in the session. Because when you disconnect from the session, your car pretty much becomes ghosted, and it goes right down the order. And sometimes it can cause problems. Like, for example, I think one time when it was like in the pits, I might be wrong here, it like pretty much held up the field.
Yes,
and,
I have seen that happen before. Yes, it does hold up the field in the pit lane. So it just stops sometimes. But we are about to get underway, and for Cloud, ask for anything better. That means that the driver behind you, Jensen Ralston, is the closest competitor in turn one. Of course, away is Cloud, and he'll have a lovely run into that first corner if he can keep his composure up into the Clouder curve. Of course, battery going to play a big factor in the race as well, with that new overtake mode. So just how quickly it plays, lifting and coasting in that slipstream might be the game plan for some of these drivers. I'm expecting it to still be a two-stop. Austria is quite high on the tyre wear. Expecting hard, medium, hard strategies have to, and drivers should be underway in a few moments' time. For Quintino, it is despair in the social race. He will not be able to take part, at least in the opening lap. Have to struggle, maybe make his way back up through the field if he joins back. But we've got 5 red lights here in Spielberg. It's Cloud on pole, and it's Jensen Ralston in third. And it's a great start from both the Red Bull drivers. It seems like Jensen might have just got a better one as we make our way into that first corner. But there's nothing he can do as he's behind his teammate through the first corner. It's a Red Bull 1-2. But Ralston already on the offensive. Is he going to look for the move? Heading up into turn 3. He's tucked back into the slipstream. The battery game's already happening into this on this first lap. As there's Balsaz to the inside, nearly making contact with the Red Bull. Noel losing places to Lorenz Patton as the Audi and the Aston Martin now run side by side as they make their way into the Swash Gold. It's a Red Bull 1-2 out front. Cloud has been able to gap ever so slightly into the braking zone, and Patton now around the outside of Balsaz through the Swash Gold. A spectacular move. You very rarely see that move being pulled off, and the Audi up into third place already quickly. Now going to bring up the tyres. It's mediums for the top 3. Hard for Balsaz. Noel also on the hards, and it's Supply Raptor, Finn Hertz, Kiel, Hamza, Zozo, McTeer, and David, along with Johan on the mediums. Everybody else on the hards. And so far, Ryan Grob from last has already made his way up into 16th as he's side by side now with Top Tom.
Yeah, great start for Lawrence Patton. Cloud still at the front there. Lots of fighting at the back, and just to note, Gabriel Contino, who started second, who's not in the session, has fallen right to the back of the grid. He's now 5.5 seconds down from his teammate, who's currently in a battle with Ryan Grove and Top Tom. Ryan Grove crashed in qualifying, of course, and it's going to be quite the battle into turn number 3, and he's going to get through ahead of David Kupchik in the V-car, but he's now side by side with him again. He's going to have to get that move done again. This is another move, however, but that's Noel Gerstein and Supply Raptor going side by side out of Schloss Gold. And Lorenz Patton, what's happened to him? Is he fallen down the order or something? He's had a massive battle here.
Yeah, big battle over what is now going to be 4th place. The top 2 have broken away from Balzaz behind, but you would expect that with them being on the medium. Sorry with the fact you can see the telemetry. There's a glitch currently in the game that if you accidentally just clip it on ever so slightly with Patton to the inside there of Iskrieg, there was contact, and there was a big old slide there for the Audi, and that's allowed Iskrieg to go straight back through with the up and under through the final corner, and the Williams driver back up into 6th place. Right. But yes, you may be able to see the telemetry for the rest of the race. I cannot remove it. It's just something that's been bugged into the game somehow in the spectator cam. Cloud leads the way, 6 tenths clear of Jensen Rosen, then Balzaz, and then you've got Ivan Iskrieg back to the inside of Supply Raptor this time around. Williams driver makes his way back up to 5th, certainly making up for that lost progress he could have made in qualifying. Quintino's joined back. Biggest gainer so far is going to be actually Ivan Iskrieg, up 4 places from 9th up to 5th. A great start from the Williams driver so far here, Logan.
It has indeed. As we have seen, there is a battle involving Kupchik and Joe Animator. And looks like Kupchik has got ahead of Joe Animator around the middle part of the track. Yes, we have quite the problems from telemetry, but Iskrieg has done a very nice start. Cloud is the only driver in the top 8 that has kept their position. Of course, a lot of them advanced position because of Quintino falling right down the order. Spiga's lost 5 positions, but it might be 4 if he tries to make the move on Ryan Grove, who started right at the back, but he won't be able to do it. Now, what we got here at the top, Iskrieg is fancying a move over Gerstein, but he's not going to be close enough for that. Animator going to go battle again with Kupchik right at the back, and they'll take that into Schloss Gold.
Yeah, they certainly would. You can see the lifting and coasting there from Iskrieg behind Gerstein. The Aston Martin driver able to hold on as Dallin McTeer makes a move onto Hamza. These two will now run side by side through into turn 6. The Audi is going to try swing this one with the momentum all the way around the outside, and that's spectacular stuff there from Dallin McTeer on Hamza, both on the medium compounded tyre, so there's no difference in the grip they're producing for the Audi. Now up into 12th place. Great move from Dallin McTeer. It shows as well that with these smaller cars, of course, Bill Basin are a little bit skinnier as well here, Logan, that we can get some more opportunistic moves. We've seen it already in this race in the opening 5 laps. Some moves around the outside you wouldn't find on the F125 cars, as Spiga has dropped all the way down to 18th place, unfortunately. He's falling backwards. Wonder if he's got any damage. He does not. Potentially struggling in the early stages. But we're seeing a lot more drivers be very bold with their moves here, Logan, and it's fascinating to see.
Yeah, and one of them was even Iskrieg trying to go on the outside of Noel Gerstein, was not able to complete the move, but staying nicely tucked out behind the Aston Martin car. Of course, let's not talk about the real one. It's just tragic to watch. Let's just say battle involving Ryan Grobe and Top Tom getting feisty around the middle part of the track. Of course, a nice slingshot into turn 8, and of course you've got turn 9 and 10. It's easy to get warnings here. You've got to be careful where you place the car on the exit. It looks like everyone's doing that nicely done, and that's a battle for 7th place involving Finn Geert and Lawrence Patton. Lawrence Patton was at 3rd at one point, but he seems to have lost a lot of places in a massive battle, and Iskrieg's making a move on the outside of Gerstein. I don't think he'll be able to do it. And Lawrence Patton now fighting Finn Geertz in turn 3, and Patton's going to get that position back. But is he going to hold on?
That is going to be the big question as Iskrieg goes to the inside of Gerstein through turn 4, and he's up into 4th place himself. So from 9th to 4th, Ivan Iskrig is absolutely flying on those hard compound tyres for now, as Balzaz has actually also brought in the front two as well. He's been able to reel in the two Red Bulls, as they may now potentially start to struggle on those medium compounded tyres. So the hards might be the ones you want to be on at this stage of the race. Of course, that pendulum will swing back into some of these drivers' favour a little bit later on in the race when we those pit stops. We've now got Gondos behind Finn as well as he makes his way now down that main straight, both using the battery. Patton was not, and he's going to get eaten alive by the pair of them. Further back, David has potentially made a mistake. Patton picks up 3 seconds, our first driver to get track limits here this evening in the race. And now as we make our way up into turn number 3, there's a move to the inside there from Gondos. Is he going to be able to get the move done? Zozo as well in the Williams making his way to the inside of Lorenz Patton. They're going to run side by side all the way down into the Swash Gold. The Audi going to look to try and hold on to his position, but Zozo seems to just have a bit more grip for now. But Zozo, that was, of course, Lorenz Patton later on the brakes, but gets blocked in by Finn Hertz, and that might now leave Zozo to get past the pair of them through turn 5 and 6. The Williams driver being very opportunistic indeed. It's bold, it's brave, it's beautiful. Same could be said as well for Patton as he looked to the outside through turn 7. Wasn't able to get the move done, and now Hertz fighting back against Gondos as Patton falls behind Pascal Hill after having that lack of battery. This is showing how crucial that battery is as Iskrig looks to the inside of Balzaz and makes his way to the top 3.
There are moves happening everywhere. It's really hard to keep up with this game this time. I think that's one issue we're going to be having as commentators. That was Hamza having a massive slide out of the first turn. And let's see what is happening up here. Joe Animator is going to try and overtake the clash into turn 3, and looks like Patton is going to, as Kupsik is our first casualty from the race. Look at this might be free ride near the back here.
Late on the brakes there from Lorenz Patton. He tries hold on to his position against Johan, and it's around Audi. The Audi has gone round, and he has retired from the race. 2 retirements in the span of a lap, but Patton was falling down the order. Got a bit too trigger happy there, I think, on the curb. Sent the car into a spin. Really disappointing there for Lorenz Patton after a very good qualifying, and started the race off so strongly. A fall down and out of this race. Hamza's just been passed by Ryan Grohl, but looking back at the front of the field, we see here Ivan Iskrig and Jensen Rausen might now start to come to blows. The Red Bulls really have dropped off in pace, and Ivan Iskrig is certainly seeming to be the fastest driver on the track at the moment as we make our way up into turn 3. But are we going to see some tactics played here from the Red Bull drivers, Logan, that potentially they might help one another to hold on to these? Yes, it may be a social race, but you still want those bragging rights of winning things. And they might just try and hold Iskrig up into the path of the likes of Balzaz on those other hard compound tyres.
I think the most likely approach is Jensen to take the undercut, as he might not need to take the undercut. He's very close to Cloud right now. I'd imagine they'll be fighting position, even though it is a social race. I don't think the team game is going to come much into play. But they're definitely going to have it pit at different times because, of course, double stacking will mean the driver behind loses a lot of time, of course. You know well, watching this Formula 1. And Jensen's going to try and take the lead here. This is down the stretch. It doesn't look like it's going to be a move just yet, but now up we go. Overtake boost is on, and this should be a move for Cloud. Into the lead, he goes on the outside, which we have seen a lot today, and he is through. We have a new race leader in Jensen Rausen.
Yes, Jensen Rausen takes the lead of the race. The Red Bulls have made that switch, and it did seem like Jensen did have a bit more pace in the tank for a majority of those past couple of laps, but Cloud is still keeping with him. I think they really were just holding on to the battery to have a big burst come to the end of their stint, and Ivan Iskrig now all over the back of the sister car here of Cloud, and is he find his way through now onto Cloud, unlike what he could do with Jensen Rausen, but a lot of battery in the tank for the Red Bull driver might just give him that upper hand over the Williams behind. I'll make our way through 9 and 10 laps done so far, about to start lap 11. Now going to see if Iskri can get this move into the first corner. We saw it against Balzaz, but no move being made just yet from the Williams driver. As we now exit out of the first corner, it is inviting both No and Balzaz behind to join the party. But Iskri has a perfect run now as we make our way up into turn 3. He jinks to the inside line. Once again, just not going to go for it on the brakes. He's into the back of the Red Bull. It could be now down into the swash goal, but it just seems like Cloud can just about get those exits here, Logan, that just keep him in front.
Yeah, looks like he is. And meanwhile, back in 10th place, Finn Geertz has fallen down to that as Pascal Gill has made the move on the outside at turn 3. Looks like Finn trying to get back at him, but it's not going to work. He's going to have to yield in 10th place at the moment. Yeah, Iskri starting to close up on the leading Red Bulls. Are they going to have to pit soon? Because, of course, you know how this works. You have to pit once in the race at least, because you have to use 2 different compounds. It's not a sprint race where you don't have to. You must come in. As another move is happening, that is Finn Geertz losing another spot, this time to Federico Spiga in the Ferrari. Is something wrong with Finn Geertz? He's not got a lot of battery on board, that's for sure, and he's just been passed by Joe Animator. Yeah, he's only got like 20. He's got no battery left. He's using up all the battery, and this is going to cost him a lot of time. Watch the cars just coast by him like taking candy from a baby. Here's Dallin McTeer now, and this is one of the key examples of why you need to save your battery. He's used up all his battery.
Certainly is indeed, as there's Dallin McTeer making his move onto Finn Geertz and be able to get the move done. Yes, he is. The Aston Martin gets forced wide, and that's allowed Ryan Grob through. Iskrig was able to get past onto Cloud as they made their way up into turn 3, and Balzaz now going to go side by side here with Noel as they make their way into the final couple of corners, banging wheels down into turn 9, and the Ferrari goes all the way off the road and does slot it in front, but does that count as an illegal overtake, and will that come under some scrutiny from the in-game stewards? It does not seem so. A Supply Raptor is our first driver into the pit lane along with Joe Animator and Finn Hertz as well, as Balzaz off the road once again, surely picking up track limit warning after track limit warning as Iskrig at the front of the field is getting closer to the back of Rosen. Expect this William car to be through by the time we reach the Swash Gold.
Yeah, and this is the chance for Ivan Iskrig. He's already broken into the Red Bull dominance, and now it's a Red Bull sandwich. Quite the downgrade. Now right up close to Rosen, you should be attempting a move very soon. Meanwhile, Federico Spiga coast by Pascal Gill in the new Cadillac, one of the new teams in this season. And the other Ferrari has also made some positions up as well. This is Gerstein. He's going side by side with Gerstein. Great battle as we had earlier, and this time Ballas stays ahead. But is there going to be another chance for Gerstein? Yes, he is. He coast right by. Must have had the more superior battery life, as he caught into 4th place, and now he's only 8 tenths down to Cloud, and that's quite the distance, I have to say.
It certainly is quite a big margin to bring down Zozo now into pit lane along with Dallin McTeer and Hamza. They only have a handful of medium runners left on the circuit, and is Iskrig going to get past the leading one of those? He looks to the inside into turn 3. Rosen will give him the room, and now for Iskrig, it's all about getting onto the power. Has he done it? Yes, he has, but Rosen will not give this one up without a fight, I would think. He tucks back into the slipstream. No, it's just looking save the battery, maybe just a little bit longer. And now Gondos is able to get past not only Balzaz, but maybe Noel as well. And he does get through on the Aston Martin. So brilliant. Gondos from out of nowhere has now made his way up through the field. And he's in the 2nd place in the hard tyre train. Get past Rosen and Cloud to get into that 2nd place overall. But for Gondos, he's come from absolute nowhere to be able to pick up that 4th place in this race so far. And Cloud darts into the pit lane. So we do see our first of the front runners into the pits. It is Cloud off those mediums. Interesting to see how this undercut works, especially as well, Logan, with the fact you recharge that battery in the pit lane.
Yes, you do. That's the crucial thing about the pit stops now with the new battery rules. Obviously a 50-50 split, but in 2027 that's going to become 60-40. I prefer 67-33, but okay, it's a start. So it looks like that the fuel flow will be getting a boost, and I do believe the power is going to get a boost as well, as Gondos has went wide out of turn 3. I was about to say, Gondos making himself known here, making up 7 positions already. I think it's 8 now. Yeah, it's 8. But he is showing that he isn't infallible. These drivers are human, we can confirm. No AI here. But yes, he's up there in 3rd, and Ballas trying to get that 4th position back, but he's still going to have to lift and coast through these corners. You see, you'd think it takes away from the racing, but I tell you right now, management has always been in racing. And there's an incident.
Oh, it's Quintino. Is it Quintino? Actually, no, sorry. It is Pascal Gill, who I believe has gone around. Yes, it is, in the Cadillac. Has gone around. He's now dropped down to 9th. He was on a set of the mediums. It's now Jensen Rosen who will take those mediums longest than anyone has in this race. And for Pascal, potentially either trying to make a move, ran wide, or just completely lost it with how worn out those tyres were. Unfortunately for him, that ruins any progress he would have made a little bit later on. Zozo sets the fastest lap. Cloud came out just behind Quintino and is now, of course, in front of the Haas driver that started on the front row but disconnected and fell all the way to the back. And for Cloud, he's now got a big amount of clean air to push on into to get the undercut, not only on Ivanis Krieg but his teammate Rolson as well. But Balzaz, he's now gone to the inside of Gerstein and he's been able to make his way through. Back up into 4th place goes the Scuderia Ferrari.
And I'm sure that battle's going to go on for another few laps because they've been at it for quite a while. Is there going to be a pit stop from here? No, there are no pit stops from the top 5. Looking at Spiegel now and watching him very tentatively. Another incident there. That is Quintino again. I think, yeah, he's gone very slow out of the corners. Something must have happened. Did he go on the gravel? Finn Geertz has let him through. Is he coming into the pits? No, he's not. So I wonder what happened there. I wasn't able to catch it, but he is down to 13th. He was in 2nd, but as you know, he wasn't in the server when it began, and he fell right to the back. He was ghosted, and that meant he has to do all that work from the race itself. As I do believe Joe Animator is going to try and get back at Zozo. He did pass Zozo last lap, but then he went on to lose the position. But he's going to be stuck behind him for a little more while, it seems, unless he can get the move down into Schloss Gold. He's going to go for it here. He's used the battery to his advantage, but he's unable to make the move again. The battle for 4th is still going on between Balash and Gerstein. Neither player wishing to duck, but one has is Jensen Rowson. He's in.
Yes, Rowson is into the pit lane after 17 laps on those mediums. He will be able to take those hards to the end, I believe. So trying the one-stop strategy certainly could pay into his hands. Where will he come out in relation to teammate Cloud? He's just making his way down the main straight. You can see him on the right-hand side there, of course. Jensen cuts off the inside of the first corner, but I'm expecting him to be about a 2.5 seconds back by the time we get back up to full speed. Quintino has retired from the session, and yes, a 1.5 seconds behind is Jensen Rowson onto teammate Cloud, but with 3 lap younger tyres, potential to go all the way to the end of this race. This certainly does bode well for the Red Bull driver, and for Cloud, he's stuck behind Top Tom in a little bit of traffic. He makes his way to the inside into the Swash Gold and see way through, but that's now given Iskrig a 2.3 second lead over Gondos in 2nd. See how long these hard runners can take this white wall tyre for.
I just got a message in the Discord. Gabriel Quintino has asked Kryptonite, can I get a refund and do split free? Well, first of all, it didn't cost you any money to take part in a social race, and it's up to the discretion of the admins, I believe. As Top Ton is coming in, he had to slow right down to get into the pit lane. Must have had trouble getting in. Cloud has already passed, and Cloud is ahead of Jensen by just 9/10. So it looks like the undercut did work for Cloud, as Zozo has made his way into the top 10 with a move on Joanimator. These two have been duking it out for a while, so honestly not surprised that they're still fighting. I think Finn Geertz has given up. Yep. When he usually spreads in the pit lane, it's usually a sign they're giving up.
Yeah, unfortunate there for Finn. He had a good qualifying and it just all went away. Just had no pace in this race. Unfortunately, be our 4th retirement from the race in pit lane. We've also had Quintino, Patton, and David as well. But for that battle between Cloud and Jensen Rowson, it seems that overcut is working now into Jensen Rowson's hands. Really starting to close in on his teammate. But will they work together? Still got to try get the undercut and build the gap onto Ivan Iskrig and Gondos, who are yet to box from those hard compound of tyres. So the Red Bulls around their home circuit are just now pushing on a little weave from the pair of them down that main straight, maybe just acknowledging they will work together and they will not fight this one just yet. Supply Raptors 4.6 seconds behind, so it's not like Jensen's under any pressure at the moment either. And at the front of the field, is Noel going to be able to get the move done onto Bowser? No, he's not. He's just going to have to sit behind once again. The Aston Martin and Ferrari have been nose to tail pretty much all race long. Gondos now 3.2 seconds behind us. There is going to be Noel trying to go around the outside. Does the up and under through turn 6. No room at the in. Bowser is just able to hold on.
And he's going to go for the move on the outside, Max. And banging wheels again. They've been banging wheels all race long, I'd imagine. But Balash holds on to position as he is the last to break. And Gerstrin has surrendered and he's going into the pits himself. So Gerstrin now on his own. This is his chance to make up a lot of time and take advantage of this. This Krieg is also pitted. So Gondos now inherits the lead for the meantime. Ahead of Balash, ahead of the other Ferrari, Spiga. So Cloud and Noel are going to come out soon. They should be coming out ahead, well ahead, both Red Bulls, and now they are back into 4th and 5th for now, and this might be reversed as they are going to fight into turn 3.
Certainly was that teamwork all the way through, while of course his Krieg had to come into the pits. Now that they are clear of the Williams, they shall now fight, and for Jensen Rowson, he'll try and put away that gap. 3.1 seconds with fresh mediums versus worn hards for Cloud and slightly worn hards for Jensen Rowson. So it is very much all to play for still in this race, and the strategies will converge on to one another. It's just how quickly can the Williams driver catch up to the back of these two Red Bulls, make his way through. Are you going to see a pit stop for the top 2? No, we are not. For now, Spiga is in. That means Jensen Rowson has a bit more clean air of around about 8 seconds over to the next car in front of him. 3.4, still that gap between Cloud and this Krieg. Williams driver not been able to find too much time on the meet thus far. See how the rest of the lap goes. But of course, with this, new overtake mode as well, Logan, it means that it's going to be easier for Cloud to sit behind Jensen Rowson. Maybe even just keep him that little bit too far away from his Krieg by the time the Williams catches up.
Yeah, a lot of aero advancing your car much faster than it used to be thanks to this new straight mode. Quite the battle for 6, I should say. No Gestrine trying to keep Supply Raptor, Zozo and Geronimo at bay. This battle's going to head into Schloss Gold. But yeah, as you can see, the Red Bulls already 2.5 seconds ahead. But take note that even Iskrig and Nogerstream are both on medium tyres. They have the grippier tyres, so they might not last as long, but they definitely give much more speed than the hards will. So that gap is going to close very soon. Just watch the timing gapping over the next few laps as Gondos has come in, and he is going to be on mediums. There'll be no other way. And there's the fastest lap. There you go. The medium tire showing their gold right there, and now he's going to be trying to close that gap even more. It's closing out to 2.2 as there's been an
Bowser's got a puncture.
Oh no!
The race leader, the man who had stayed out on those hard tyres for 22 laps, has picked up a rear left puncture. Heading up into turn 3. Must have went mid-straight. Luckily, I think was able to avoid spinning off into the wall. Just went into the gravel. I'm unsure if there's any damage on the car, but that's going to be the end of his race. And unfortunately, there for Bowser, he tried to take it long. He's retired on the circuit, and for the Ferrari, after what was a promising start to this one, come to a disappointing end. And on that last lap, we quickly saw the timings. We'll see it once again. But on the last lap, it was around about 8 tenths between Rosen's quickest lap and Ivan Iskrig. On this lap, Jensen Rosen, a 1 minute 6.9. Ivan Iskrig, a 1 minute 6.7. So potentially held up by the Ferrari or made a mistake himself. Not have the battery to push on, but 2 tenths still found onto the leading Red Bull. It's at a good enough rate that he will be on the back of him within the next 2 laps. Certainly is starting to hustle against the 2 Red Bulls as Ivan Iskrig.
Cloud's got about half the battery Jensen does. Cloud has used up a lot of his battery, and he's not going to have a lot of power heading down the stretch. As you can see, pretty much get nowhere close, as Jensen Rosen has the advantage of deploying as much energy as he pretty much wants. But yeah, 76% he's got, and Cloud's got like 30%. It's not very good for Cloud right now, but he's still using the boost as much as he can, and this is going to allow Jensen Rosen to try and coast, and even as Krieg is still closing up. 1.6 is now the gap. Correct me that. 1.5 seconds now. So Cloud should be more concerned about lifting and coasting into the corners. He's getting 30%, but yeah, he's still boosting and deploying that energy. Going down the stretch, you see he's got 0 now. This means his car should be clipping right here, yep. And then all the lifting and coasting is done in the corners. Gets about 40% of energy back. And Jensen's almost broke 1 second clear.
Certainly has indeed. Jensen, I think, now seeing the threat of his Iskrig behind, can't really try and hold his teammate in that overtake window and might just have to try and clear off down the road himself. Gondos, excuse me, has been able to get past onto Zozo as they made their way into the Swashgold. And for Jensen Rosen, he is 8 tenths clear of Cloud, who himself is 1.2 seconds clear of Ivan Iskrig, whose pace on those mediums is starting slowly. It's slower and slower, as of course this circuit very abrasive on the guys, a lot of tyre wear. A big beating. Wear off quicker. Just not within that 1 second window was Ivan Iskrig onto Cloud. Cloud is 1 second behind his teammate, and he's now 1 second behind his teammate of Jensen Rosen. Gondos has set the fastest lap of the race. He'll be looking to at least pick up a 4th place for now, and up into turn 3. Look how close that gap is. Here is our next retirement. Look how close this gap is now between the Williams and the Red Bull. And he's going to get by on the exit of turn 3. Ivan Iskrig caught up loads through turns 1 to turn 3 and was able to get the move done before he even reached turn 4. Just showing how important saving battery is and then just dispersing it all to capitalise on your opponent pushing too aggressively. And now Iskrig will have Jensen Rosen firmly in his sights with, when we cross the line, 10 laps to go.
Yeah, that was one of the easiest moves of Ivan Iskrig's career, but unfortunately it pretty much counts for nothing, being it's a social race, but you know, it is for pride, I guess. 1.5 seconds, the gap between Jensen and the new second place man, Ivan Iskrig. Can he close up? How quick is he going to close up? Let's watch that space. Meanwhile, battle for the top 10 spot here, Pascal Gillen Hansa. I mean, making reference to the extra A's there. He's going to go for the move on the inside, but he decides to back out, it seems. And he's going to try it in the next stretch, you'd imagine. Had all that oomph, but I guess he wanted to lift and coast and get some more battery on board. So we head up to the first turn. I think we might be seeing a move here from Pascal Gill into the top 10, as Grobe is being passed by Spiga. And yeah, Tom into 11th place. He has overtaken Pascal Gill. So it doesn't look like Pascal Gill will be challenging for the top 10 at all, because Top Tom is now going to be challenging Hamza for that position instead.
Yeah, certainly is indeed. So for Pascal Gill, he tried to do something different. Or is he now going to look to the inside into turn 4, using that battery very late on the brakes, and they still run side by side out of the corner. The Alpine will be on the inside for, of course, turn number 5 and turn number 6, and he does get the move done. The Alpine back up into 11th place. Quickly run you through your penalties as it currently stands. 3 seconds for Supply Raptor, Grob, Hamza, and 10 seconds for Top Tom, as actually Spiga has just been overtaken by Supply Raptor, who's come into the pit lane. He was one of those early pitters on that medium-hard strategy. Only 15 laps done. So potentially for especially Cloud, we could see him come back in again, and that will cost him an abundance of places.
And now we see another penalty here for a driver. I think it's Joe Animator. Yeah, Supply Raptor was actually retired from the race. Supply Raptor is retired from the race. Strange to see that, but that's it for him. He'll be making no more progress in this race. Still top 3 within a second of each other. You'd imagine it's going to get much closer with him and a Skrieg on the much better tyres. The grippier mediums. This is for the lead, for the win. And they're going to have 8 laps left today, about to cross the line again.
Yes, to crunch time. Not much time left to go in this race. And this is where you really need to start doing business, making your moves. Try and climb as high up the order. And there are some big gaps between the likes of Cloud and Noel, and also between Gondos and Zozo. Eager just behind him. I'll make our way down into the world once more. Ivanis Krieg attempts, now 5 attempts behind the Red Bull of Jensen Ralston. No move being made just yet. Zozo side by side here with Spiga as they make their way out of turn 3. And who will come out on top here? It seems like the Ferraris just used that little bit more battery to streak clear, but might now clip heading down into turn 4. But no fight being put up there from Zozo, who's on 15 lap old hards compared to 7 lap old. So back at the front of the field, Ivanis Skrieg, half a second behind. These top 2 have dropped Cloud. He's now 1.2 seconds back in his Red Bull car. So far at their home circuit, it's looking like a 1-3 on the road for Red Bull. But with now 7 laps to go, Ivanis Skrieg is setting himself up for a move, potentially here on lap 30 of 36.
Pretty much. Here he goes. He's going to try and take the lead as this Skrieg, but he's going to wait it out. I think that'd be the smartest move. It's just to mention, not to try to take away from the action, the World Cup is about to begin on Mexico versus South Africa, but this will be concluding in a few minutes. I don't think you'll miss much of that when you have this race. Jensen tried to hold off his Skrieg, as I think Hamza's ducked out. Yeah, he's went out of the race. We're down to 11 now, and we've got just about 7 laps to go.
Yep, 7 laps to go. It is going to be all down. If Ivanis Skrieg is going to be able to get the move done, is he just biding his time? Is he just being patient, waiting until the end? As Cloud has really dropped off on this past lap. Now 2.3 seconds back, potentially just gone into tyre preservation mode. Out with this rapid fall off in pace that Noel doesn't try and get the move done and take that 3rd place away from him. But here comes this Skrieg. He's close to the back of Jensen Ralston. Is this finally going to be his opportunity? As of course there's no boost heading down through the yellow flags, but it doesn't matter too much as he pulls that inside line. They both lift off early, and will Ralston give his Skrieg enough room to allow the Williams to get the move done? It's a carbon copy of what we saw heading into that alternate stint. Only a few laps to go, and now making our way into the Swash Gold, it's Ivanis Skrieg who holds it on the inside. Ralston will try and fight this one on that wider outside line, the more difficult opportunity. And no, the Williams driver does see himself through. But now the big question is, on those 10-lap-old hards compared to 10-lap-old mediums versus 13-lap-old hards, is he going to be able to streak clear? Is he going to be able to pull a big enough gap over Jensen Ralston to fight off any opportunity the Red Bull might have left? Or will Jensen now just sit behind, build his own battery, and maybe get revenge on that final tour?
Well, let's see. Half a second separates the two. There's 5 laps left. Cloud is pretty much out of it. Gondos fighting Gestrine for 4th at the moment, but it's all about the top 2. As Skrieg is dumping his battery right now. He doesn't want Jensen anywhere near him. Gap is 7 tenths heading up to the top of the hill. Into turn 3 and a slide from Skrieg. These cars are much harder to control than the previous gen of cars. And now Jensen Ralston is going to use his overtake boost to try and close up to Skrieg. But it looks like the gap has remained the same. as they head into Schloss Gold. Further back, it looks like Gerstein is not going to be closing out in Gondos either yet, but still, anything can happen in the final 4.5 laps of this social race.
Certainly can indeed, and Krieg a half a second advantage over Jensen Rowson. We still have that battle for 4th going on between Gondos and Dean. Now make their way through the penultimate corner. Rowson and Eskrig, and he's really been able to bring this one back as the Red Bull. He's now brought it down to 0.3 of a second, just using that battery smartly in places where Eskrig might be saving to fill him back in. Full tanker battery for the Red Bull drivers. We make our way out of that first corner. 4 more laps to go here in Spielberg. This race has certainly delivered action everywhere you look, but no move being made by Jensen on this lap once again. He really is being very strict on his battery management, not using too much of it when he can. So he really is just saving for a big burst here, I think, Logan, on that final lap to catch the Williams driver napping and be able to streak clear without a response on lap 36.
Yeah, I tell you what, the gap since I last talked has cut in half. Jensen Rowson will not give this race up. He has much more battery. Well, I did say that. He actually have the same amount of battery now. Closes right up to Eskrig, but Eskrig still staying ahead. 3 laps to go. You expect the lead to change hands a couple more times than you think than the last generation of cars with all this battery management malarkey. It's going to be quite the challenge for both drivers to keep the lead at their respective times. Jensen Rowson is now going to have a chance to take the lead at turn 3, but I don't think he is choosing to attack yet. I think it might be the next corner, and this is where you can actually, yes, you can dump the battery here. The overtake boost proving to be very nice in Jensen Rowson's favour. He's closing up, but I think he is going to wait it out until the final lap. Or he's right, actually. No, I thought it was going to be side by side there, but no. He's going to stay behind for now.
This is a high-speed game of chess here on lap 34. Is Jensen Rowson be able to be victorious, or will Eskrig do enough to just hold on to this race victory? 2 different strategies converging onto one another. Eskrig started on the hards, went to Rowson, started on the mediums, went to the hards, and there's only 3 laps of tyre age difference, and that means those mediums be a little bit more worse for wear than those hards at this current stage. Now as we start the penultimate tour here in the Red Bull Ring, all about this battle. All eyes at the front of the field, and for Gondos, he's brought down that gap to Cloud by 2 seconds, but I just think the Red Bull driver will hold on unless he picks up a puncture on the final lap.
Well, let's hope it doesn't come to that. Van Eskrig has been on these tyres for 14 laps. Jensen has been on his hard tyres for 17 laps. And it doesn't seem like the wear is really showing. It's just who's got the better battery at the moment. They're both up in the 80s as Van Eskrig, again, dumping battery. He is trying to keep Jensen Rowson away from an attack on the final lap, and Jensen is going to be all over him on this final lap. Just you watch this. He's going to be going all guns blazing in this final part of the race. And right behind him again. Eskrig knows he's there. He doesn't want him anywhere near him. He wants to win this race, but he's got 1 more lap to circumnavigate if he can.
Yes, he certainly does. And Jensen Rowson has loaded up all the ammunition for this one big attack on this final lap as he now uses that battery and deploys all the way up into turn 3. We've not seen this much deployment since he's been following the Williams driver. He's going to look to the outside line, but this, of course, is never usually the line you want to be on. Eskrig will hold the inside. Who gets the better exit? It seems to be the Red Bull, but only just as they now drag race all the way down into the Swash Gold. And, of course, Rowson will have that boost, and he may just have to wait a little bit longer. A lockup from Ivan Eskrig. Rowson all the way around the outside. outside. Has he got the move done? He has! Jensen Ralston with a spectacular move around the outside on the final lap here in Spielberg. It may have been his teammate who took pole, but he has pulled out all the stops to take this race victory. But we still have one more straight to navigate, and that's all the way down into turn 9. But his Skrieg will not be close enough for the lunge. And for Jensen Ralston, he's had to fought valiantly in this social race to pick up this race victory. First it was against his teammate, then against his Krieg. Ralston is victorious here in Spielberg. Red Bull win at home. And for Jensen Ralston here in the social race, he reigns supreme and takes a well-deserved victory. And now as we look further back, it's Zozo versus Ryan Grob. Who's going to come out on top in this one? It's side by side as they run to the line. It's going to be Zozo who spins across the line in celebration of that 7th place. Somehow took those hards. 23 laps. But for Jensen Ralston, he takes that race victory. And what a final lap that was. A brilliant battle. Hard but fair racing between Skrieg and Ralston there, Logan. That certainly was a spectacular finish for a great race.
Yeah, it definitely was. Jensen Ralston was very brave, keeping it on the outside, and his reward is victory in this social race tonight. Not many people would do the move that he did on that final lap, so props to him. Cloud was unable to convert his pole to victory. Instead, it was his teammate that took the spoils in that Red Bull team as they celebrate on the podium the champagne. And if Skriege, gracious in defeat, celebrating the other two drivers, he gave it everything to stay ahead, but unfortunately for him, it was not to be. As we see your results there, and here you go, wins by 0.366 of a second. Started in 3rd as well. I mean, he started in 9th and went all the way up there to 2nd place. Unfortunate not to get the win. Zozo and Ryan Grob are actually separated by 3 seconds because Ryan Grob had a penalty more than Zozo, so that finish wouldn't have mattered.
Certainly wouldn't have done indeed, but congratulations there to, of course, Jensen Ralston on that race racing between himself and Ivan Skrieg, and it seemed that hard medium strategy pay off in the end as well for some of those drivers like Gondos up from 11th top 4. Spectacular racing route though from all our drivers here this evening. But before we head off, Logan, is there any last words from you and what to potentially expect in probably a few months' time?
A lot more action like this. I'm sure when it gets into the full swing of things, the battling is going to be insane. There's going to be a lot more managing with these cars, especially with the battery coming in 50-50.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of getting used to drivers, and that's why we do the social racing. But the more they understand, better, and we could get more chaos like we today. But that's going to be all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for tuning in, and we do have another social race going on right now if you want that one or first game. But anyway, we shall see you when our next social race happens. Find out when that is. Check our Twitter or join the Discord bio to as well. Get involved or even. But thank you all very much for watching. Stay safe, stay well. Thank you.